at hotel keys and point of sale systems.
Sweet, thank you, man.
Yeah.
Sweet. Can you guys see the slides all good and everybody hear me good? Perfect, perfect. So Weston Hecker, I'm going to be hacking hotel keys and point of sale systems. I had backup videos just in case if anything went south. So yeah, funny story. Starting out a little bit, after I go through a little bit about myself, I do a lot of talks. I did Hope this year, I did Black Hat. This is my third year at DEF CON. It's a privilege to speak here. So yeah, basically do pen testing for a living, do a lot of research on the side. I'm a ATM enthusiast and like some of the other stuff. I just like playing around with like technology. So and I got a couple side projects. I was working on some car hacking, point of sale system hacking, hotel key hacking, and just exploits in property management software. But funny story. So when you do a hotel hacking talk at a hotel, it usually involves the staff pulling you, your PR person, and your boss aside and taking you into the bowels of the hotel. And I've seen Casino one too many times because I was a little nervous on, but it was something where it all ended really good. They just wanted to know if they were vulnerable to this attack, and it is not. They tokenize their stuff. They did it set up properly. They followed the best practices. So your guys' hotel room keys are safe at all the Caesars properties. So just wanted to throw that in there. So I'm going to explain the actual mag spoofer, which is Sammy Kamkar's device. This one's a modified version of the mag spoofer. This one is not the one that is set up for brute forcing, but I do have the demo of the actual brute forcing going on. And then we're going to actually infect this point of sale system with malware using a human interface device injection. And yeah, I'm going to explain a little bit about the point of sale systems and the actual process of how the keys are actually made. On some of them that rely on night audit and batch services, they have to do some very insecure things to make sure that their databases post and they get charged. So I'm going to do a privileged, show you how the privileged attacks work, fireman keys, service keys, things like that. And it's, yeah. Some of it's, I thought it was pretty duty heavy encryption of some kind, and most of it's just encoded. So they definitely skip some steps. And the point of sale talk, it's going to go from how I led from doing hotel research into actually attacking point of sale systems. Because like I don't know anybody else when they saw Sammy's video, like they thought of every single thing that has a mag strip reader on it as now an attack surface. And I just want to give him a shout out because that was an amazing research. And he saved me many, many hours of reading manuals. And yeah, I'm going to basically go through how it uses the mag strip readers, where the fail was in that. And I'm going to actually go with triggering events on the readers and see what it's listening for. Because some of the newer point of sale systems, like they will only power up the reader when X happens. And I actually have a tap that you can attach to bypass some of that stuff. And I'm going to go through some of the management cards, brute forcing management cards. You can actually, do refunds, stuff like that. So you can actually refund to other credit cards using one of the other attacks. It was one of that I was conceptually doing, and it would have been a pretty decent attack because I never knew that you could actually refund to a credit card that it wasn't originally charged on. And that's something I came across while doing some other research I was doing this year. And yeah, so I'm going to do a cache tend, check tend attack. So that basically, when you inject the F8 key, it literally just pops the register open. And I'm going to go over that in a little bit here. Because everybody pays a check still, right? So yeah. And attacking OS injection, I'm going to do pop a command shell. And then I'm also going to demo a drive-by attack as long as the 4G holds up. And I might have to get Steve Jobs on you guys, have you turn your phones off, but no, it should be good. So I did have 4G working earlier. And some of the actual restaurant attacks and other mag research, like some of the rewards programs, I wrote one version of it where it cycles through 10 cards. So same with some of those places where you can collect points. They're onto employees, just giving the points to themselves. So it actually cycles through like 10 accounts, and I'll go through that in a little bit here. So I'm going to go through who in the room knows what a mag spoofer is? Who's built one? They're fun. They're very fun things to build, and yeah. So basically, as you can see there, that's what actually happens if you put iron oxide on a credit card. It's going to actually, it has a little magnetic field to it. So that's when the actual card is swiped through, it's actually generating a magnetic field and speaking binary data. So ones, zeros, things like that. So basically what Sammy Kamkar did was he actually built a version. I think the patenting all goes back to like 2008 with the Loop Pay, which is a system that was bought by Samsung. And so basically, all you need to know is that there's a EM field being generated that is the same, pretty much the same. Some of the timing is different, but but as far as that goes, when you swipe the card, it's basically doing the exact same thing. So it's able to speak to magnetic head readers using a small little mag spoofer. So, and how's the, yeah, it's secure mag strip transmission. So it's, like I said, it's something that's been around since 2008. So back in 2002 and 1997, you know, people didn't think that this kind of thing was possible. So that's why a lot of these vulnerabilities. There's no reason that this keyboard should have a 102 key functionality that you can actually inject through the actual magnetic head reader. So, and yeah, it's not RFID. A lot of people ask me that, like, you know, the hotel attacks, like, is it on the RFID actual keys? And no, it's not. It's actually basically turning a magnetic card into a wireless card. So, and yeah, how do you handle the overheating? So basically, the first thing I did after I got my first mag spoofer, built it, ordered all the parts from China, waited like a week and a half, and the first thing I did was burned it out. Because I tried injecting multiple cards. I pushed like 5 or 6 cards on. I did my first modification just to increase how many cards I could store in it, and then I started actually, you know, seeing how many I could do. And after about 18 cards, it burned out. So, so I waited about another week for all the parts to come from China, and yeah, I basically made six mag spoofers in one with a little bit of a controlled Arduino, and then it has a 3,800 milliamp battery instead of 100 milliamp. So that thing is heavy duty. I call it Big Bertha because it is just this like huge coil on an Arduino. So, and I'm going to go into a little bit of what property management software is. It's when I refer to it from PMS from now on, it is not what everyone would think it was. So it is property management software. And that is something where it is actually where your folio data is. Everybody's, you know, seen the checkout where it says folio. That's basically where the hotel keeps all your records. It's how it actually, you know, what's to charge when they actually do the night audit process. So when they run the night audit, it's going to charge under your bank account. Nowadays, like when they're properly proceduralized, it's something where there's lots of security mechanisms that people can actually put into place. So I'm going to go into a little bit of explanation of what the actual proprietary card readers and the security behind the hotel. So basically, there's your folio number. Actually, the one that I found the weakness in was after I unencoded the actual cards, I read it in a RAW using an MSR 605, which is a magstrip reader. Basically read the raw data, unencoded it, and it was literally the same as my folio number and my room number and the checkout date. So if you make an assumption that somebody's going to check out in the next week, your space just went down a little bit. And if your hotel uses a not very old process actually, they actually weaned away from it in 2007, 2006. So if they do incremental folios and you're in a 50-person hotel, it's a not very big space. You have 918 options in a 50-person hotel. So it's something where, yeah, that's not many options to try, especially with a modified mag spoofer. You can actually inject 45 cards per minute. So that goes through that space pretty quick. So. And yeah, collecting the information. As you can see, also, instead of injecting full credit card numbers, you're actually injecting just some of the most of them is the track 3 data, a lot of the track 2 data. So credit cards are broken down into track 1, 2, and 3. Track 3 is the one that hotel chains use mostly. So, and if you've ever noticed, you can put your card in upside down. That's because that half of the actual magnetic stripping is only used. So they only use a portion of track 3. And as you can see, I put iron oxide on this one also, and it just shows that it is actually not. Yeah, it's not using the full card because I covered the whole thing, then wiped it down, and yeah. So and that's one of the things too. I travel a lot when I go pen testing, so I have like an entire suitcase, not an entire suitcase full of it, but it's got about 3 layers of actual hotel room keys, and I was always wondering what was on them. So I just got bored one day and started pulling information off of them, and yeah. And there were several of them that actually were, you know, pretty easy to actually break the encoding on them because they were using it was like, I think base 64, but a little bit less because it was very, very simple. I wrote a actual script, and then most of that script actually worked for like 3 or 4 different kinds of keys. So I'm guessing that they're using the same PMS software. So, and yeah, so how do you, how would the bad guys go about interacting with, say for example, if you were going to brute force that 918 space, say Weston wanted to get into Hecker's room. It's, you know, now I know the folio number. I assume he's checking out in the next week. I can actually go to an elevator or the pool area, and it'll actually tell me once I get that, when I get valid card numbers. So you don't have to actually be sitting in front of the person's door, which is kind of, you know, that would raise a lot of suspicion, you know, especially if you had to sit in front of his door for 18 minutes or something like that. So the actual, yeah, that gets kind of creepy, the guy in the hallway for 18 minutes. So that's something where Yeah, I was like one of the concepts that was with permission on this property. It was actually testing it out by the pool area and the actual hotel, because I also found out how the floor restrictions in elevators work this way. So, so it's kind of cool. Like if somebody wants to go up to the 26th floor, you can literally just change the room number. It doesn't actually validate the folio on that. So, and yeah. And as far as getting maid service keys on that property that I was on, I literally attached my device to the back of the door. And I did that from the privacy of my own room. And when people walked by, it was just randomly beeping here and there. But it was something where it took about 33 minutes to actually get the domain admin of the hotel, pretty much. It was one of the maiden keys. And you can literally it is crazy the amount of access, especially with some of the service keys. And I feel dumb for brute forcing it, because it was pretty much all zeros for the maid's keys. And I'm sure, some of the guys out there, like, that'd have been right away, it's like, let's start at 0 instead of, the folio numbers. So it's something that once I understood that, I tried all 9s, and that was the service keys. And yeah, so then some of the actual issuing, they issue them monthly. So the folio, once I found out that that was the way that they were issued, it was something where I was actually, pretty much able to do that. So, and yeah. And a lot of the elevator and fireman keys, like, there's some states that are looking at actually, luckily, they're hid behind metal, so there's no way people could interact with them. So that's what I'm saying. Like that heavy-duty mag spoofer, it can go a pretty good distance. So that's even if they're blocked off for law enforcement or fireman usage, it can actually reach some of those. So yeah. So I'm going to go through some of the raw dumps. Some of the other facilities, they actually use, like, say for example, if you go to theme park, they'll have on track 1 and track 2, they'll have other information. Track 2 on some of the properties, keys that I was looking at, they actually basically had my name, and I was like, oh, how am I going to brute force, names and stuff? And luckily it wasn't validating it. So, and that's one of the things too, is like I always wondered about that, like how often, because that's one of the things, like people always heard news stories about personal information. There's no personal information on any of the keys that I came across, the ones that I could decode at least, with the exception of like a name. And yeah, to me, that's not that identifiable, I guess. So, and there are limitations to characters that can be entered due to the limitations of encoding of the keys only. Once you introduce the mag spoofer, you can actually start injecting some illegal characters, which I actually found out when I was running pretty hot, like because I was actually measuring like how hot it could get before it actually started garbling the messages and stuff like that, and actually some of the bit error percentages, like if they would go through the roof if it started overheating. And to actually figure out what was safe to run the device at. And yeah, there were some characters, I'm guessing some bits flipped, and that's what led me to believe that, some of the research, which I actually will be demoing at the end here. So, and with some readers, they also, they automatically inject a return character after the card is swiped. So after a certain amount of digits are entered, there is a way to actually stop that automatic return character. So, and I will go. That's with the modified version of the mag spoofer only, because after it does like 46 digits, it'll do an automatic return character. So, and yeah, other than that, you just need to know literally your own folio number if you want to. When I was actually going to breaking the encoding, it was something where I actually just had to get my own key issued and stuff like that twice, and yeah, then that gives you a sample to go off of, and you could pretty much other keys that are collected. There's lots of them where they have the return things. I didn't get those ones, but I pretty much just got my own keys. So breaking the complex encryption, yeah, that was pretty simple. I had to rent an Amazon server for, I literally just booted up my computer, wrote a script to, this one was actually, this version of it was actually just base64 encoded. So that was kind of irritating. I thought it was going to be a lot more harder on this one, but. And some of the kiosks, I started playing around with some of that stuff. And anytime you guys go to a security conference, that's always the first thing they shut off for a good reason for this kind of stuff. So, because this is a really good way to like issue your cards, and if you're the bad guy, obviously, it's something where they will, you're able to get like 7 cards without being suspicious. So, because So what led to the research after the hotel keys? That pretty much was my next step. I was thinking everything with a pretty much a mag radar on it is now a target. So, and I actually noticed that once I started buying some of these devices, that they were generic HID. And I'd done a lot of HID attacks, human interface device attacks, which are basically keyboards. with Tinsies and payloads in the past. So it's something where now that I was looking at the attack surface of point-of-sale systems, it was, yeah, naturally the next step. So how does it use a mag interpreter? This one up here is a 102-key keyboard, generic human interface device. And so basically anything you can type, you can now inject through the magnetic or card reader. And that's one of the things too. It's like, oh, why not just hit the keys? Yeah, there's some of these things that literally like, it's this long of a text string. Like, say for example, I'm going to be demoing a drive-by attack because, yeah, point-of-sale systems are a little out of date sometimes. So, and I'm going to actually go through, yeah, some of these methods here in a second. And triggering events, like that's one of the things too. Like some of the newer ones, they have actual, you can test if they're being USB fed. So that's something once they're powered on, you can still do some of it, but they have to wait for a trigger event or for the remote cable to be toggled. So yeah, so basically you can figure out when they're listening, and it's not something where you have to tap into it. You can literally just look and see if the green light's on. So that's like one of the indicators of it. And I would definitely, if you guys want to start playing with some of the stuff, get the MSR, the little Mag Interpreter 103s. I think they're like $15. So they're really, really fun. And you can basically dump anything you want to into a notepad. And yeah, so management keys, that was one of the biggest things too, where I was looking for a really hard challenge. And the actual first point of sale system I bought, which was pulled out of a taco restaurant, and when it was disbanded and it was auctioned. And yeah, it came with a management key, and that management key worked on the other 2 point of sale systems that I bought from separate lots. So I was like, there's nothing, nothing deep, crazy, no techno, no chain smoking. It literally was just pretty much the same admin account used across several point of sale systems. So now I'm guessing, because now you can't turn this off when you go out in the wild. It's something where I started noticing every single point of sale system, and I'm like, I wonder if that key would work on that. And I actually, one of my buddies owns a restaurant that happened to have one of those, and yeah, you can literally inject the actual management key into it. So that's something that is pretty crazy. And like you can mess with inventory, you can throw off inventory, you could, yeah, some of them need management overrides, for some of the electronic checkouts and stuff like that. So that's some scary stuff. And yeah, here's pretty much what you guys probably can't read. But yeah, everybody knows how, for the most part, how keyboards work, and I think we deal with them on a daily basis. So we pretty much know all the character sets. So quite literally anything that you can type on that keyboard that I showed earlier, you can pretty much inject. Like I said, sometimes you have to strip some of the auto-return characters, the enter characters. So, and yeah, one of the first attacks I did was I saw the cache 10 button, or check 10 button, and that was injecting. I was like, okay, I wonder how hard this could be. So I started playing around with it, and I was getting into the F key functionalities, and I was rolling through it and testing it. And this basically is like a way to like for a bad guy to actually just walk in and literally rob a store. They could literally just put this device on there, and that's what kind of made it scary. Like it's now people can rob stores that way. So with the F8 key, it's pretty bad. And yeah, behind every strong man is a strong woman. As you can see, I'm wearing my wife T-shirt. So, and behind every point of sale system, there's an outdated operating system. So, and not every point of sale system. I can't speak for them all, but every single one that I bought or I could afford, and that's kind of the way it goes. So basically, what you're going to do is you want to exit out of the point of sale system, and yeah, the next step will be popping a command shell and injecting the payload. And what kind of payloads would one want to run on a point of sale system? I did a talk last year, so I had a couple memory skipping malware laying around. And I was like, hey, I will see if I can load these on a page. So it's going to do one distribution, and I tested it this morning. So it's actually going to do a drive-by attack on an actual web server that I have loaded. So, and this is it's a neutered version of it. It just talks to itself, so it's not going to actually be doing anything illegal. And it's just going to literally visit the web page, and it has a vulnerable version of some software running on it. And then also, you can literally, through the command shell, because most of them run deprecated operating systems, some of them still have functionalities where you could literally just put URLs and download from pretty much any source you wanted. So, yeah, like I was saying, this is the payload that the bad guys would use, like the actual memory skipping malware. So. In the past, people had to do these ridiculous supply chain attacks, or they had to, breach a vendor account, and now it's literally the bad guys, it would be as easy as walking up to one of those point of sale systems and actually infecting it. So, and yeah, and some of them are dev environments. So like they're custom. They have, but they pretty much have their proprietary key functions. They don't have a classic layout, but they still have magnetic card readers in them. And I actually, was expecting to have to, map these keys out and do all this crazy stuff. But they actually, if they have the generic driver loaded, they will accept the same key commands, even if they don't have the keys on the keyboard. So that was like another huge fail. So, but yeah, as far as limitations of mag injection, making a physical card attack limitation, could you make the waiter do the dirty work? Could you like give him your credit card to pay and actually have him walk up and do some of that? That's something that was kind of my, next step after all this was kind of finished up. And yeah, that's like I was saying, there's some illegal characters that you can't actually encode onto it, so it wouldn't work as good. But I think that it's something that some people have explored in the past, and it's definitely something I will be, once I have some free time now that all the talk and conference seasons are done with, I'll do some more checking into stuff. So, but yeah, that was kind of the one thing too. It's like, how much of a payload could you actually put on a credit card? So on track 3, and yeah, these devices are everywhere. This was literally me flying to Huntsville when I was speaking at Takedown Con, and yeah, these mag strip readers are everywhere, like quite literally everywhere. And one of the other things that I started looking at, I was like, okay, aside from being able to, just pop the register, installing malware, that's not bad enough, I guess. Yeah, actually attacking player rewards systems. Like say, for example, who's ever played slot machines and like you just kind of were bored and just wanted to go back to your hotel room, so you're going to go play the $20 slots or the $50 slot and just get it done with? That's one of the things, like, every time I went to those higher-end slot machines, people would always leave a card in there. And I thought it was by accident at first. Like, I'm like, hey, this person probably left their card there, and I tried to turn it in. And they're like, no, the people do that because they try to squat points. Because some guy who is just literally, waiting for a plane or something is going to, play $2,500 with the slots, and they get to collect the player's rewards points. So they kind of squat some of those accounts. And that was like one of the attack methods that I was thinking of. It's like, now that you can inject magnetic data, it's like you could squat on one of these devices. And it's another one is like I was saying, I think when I was in high school, I worked at an actual company that they had like a player's reward program, and they told me, they're like, yeah, you can't use your own card. People have been fired in the past for that. So it's something where they're onto it, and they'll actually have flags go off if the same card's used more than once in X amount of time. But some of the actual like grocery store chains, or there's certain electronics companies where every $500 you spend, you get $5 or $100. So this is one of those other methods, like some of the rewards programs that actually be susceptible to this kind of attack. So, and like I was saying, that one of the refunds, like where you can actually refund onto a prepaid card, that should not be possible to happen, especially if it wasn't the original transaction. So, and sometimes it has to post overnight, but that was like one of my additional attack vectors. I didn't have time to wean out all the kinks on it, but it's something that seemed feasible. So, and yeah, and injecting into actual, like I was saying, when you can actually tap into the remote signal, as long as you hit the right wire, you basically could overfill like prepaid cards like that, stuff like that. So if a bad guy wanted to get an unlimited phone calling card, he could be injecting his own card and having time added to it. So, and not only that, but some of the gift store cards, stuff like that. So, and some of them do lock once they have the original amount loaded on them, so they're not reusable. But the reusable prepaid cards that say reusable prepaid cards on them, those are the ones that obviously they would attack after. So, and yeah, like I was saying, these actually triggered events, attacks. So you have to sniff out the actual powered up readers. Like a lot of the modern ones, they don't actually. They send a remote signal that, here, there's a transaction going on, or hey, we're going to do some kind of interaction. And I don't know if that's because of this kind of attack, or if it's just because they kind of looked into the future of what people might actually be doing at these, and it's not a good idea to have something not only powered on. Some of these things are low energy, so yeah, it's something where you can actually, for some of the rewards programs, also you have to hit the enter key to accept that it's your account. So yeah, that's one of the things too. I was wondering if if it'd be possible to actually inject that. So, and on the actual point of sale system that I tried on that, it worked perfectly. Because that's one of the biggest things is there were customers always stealing people's points. Say somebody didn't have a rewards card, they were actually letting them inject it. So, yeah, and who's ever used a clock-in system? Yeah, you can never be late to work again now. So, yeah, that's one of the as far as the hardware goes, I bought like a hotel key for the back door. I bought a couple keyboards. I bought a couple point of sale systems. And I bought a clock-in system. And a lot of people are going to the fingerprints or some of the actual newer method ones. So, but yeah, this is one of my last attack surfaces that I actually looked at. So, and yeah, I'm going to go over the video of the brute forcing. It was on. There's a couple times when Windows stuff popped up while I was actually doing the demo, like when I did the video. So there was actual Windows 10 upgrades because it was like a fresh install. So I lost my original driver disk for my MSR 605, and I had to download it from an untrusted web page. So if you guys wonder what the dialog boxes popping up all the time are. So, and I'm also going to go into the installing actual credit card skimming malware off of a web server as long as the internet is still working. So, and if not, you'll still be able to see that there are injections. So, and I'm going to go set up the demo, and while I'm setting up the demo, I'm actually going to, if people want to start stepping up to the mics too, you can ask questions while I'm doing the demos. So, yeah, thanks for coming, and stay legal, and I'm going to go into the demonstration portion right now. So, let's see. Thank you.
Have you messed with any of this on airplane mag readers on the back of seats?
Did you mention if I messed with them on airplanes?
On the back of seats, you know how they have the mag readers to like...
Yeah, I've learned from other people that have messed around on planes that it's it's not usually one of the things you guys want to do. Like I saw that mag strip reader, and I even felt bad like taking a picture, you know, of an MSR that was on the keyboard thing. So yeah, I haven't tampered with planes any. And I hope everybody knows that, because yeah, that was like one of the I've seen those, and I thought the exact, because you can't, once you start doing this kind of stuff, you can't like turn that stuff off. So yeah.
How about the like the new like Square and the PayPal and all?
Oh yeah,
those?
yeah. Some of the original, and right now it's actually in. I'll come back to your question. Some of the Square readers and some of the remote ones, yeah, yeah. A lot of and that's not a vulnerability in them. It's anything that uses a mag strip. But yeah, quite literally everything that is affordable that has a mag strip in it, I've bought and injected stuff into. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. And that's what I'm saying. Like if you're making your own payment, you could be, presenting a different card. I see what you're thinking. That's some clever thinking. So, but basically right now, it's actually injecting the folio numbers, and I'll roll the video back here a little bit. And there's the first Windows 10 upgrade. Sorry about that. And if you guys want, this video is online on YouTube already. So basically I'm going to read the raw data, because it has, like I said, it has custom encoding. So you have to have a specific reader to actually do the, and you're going to be reading you have to switch it to HiCo and then read raw. So yeah, there's the first transaction, and then it's actually, if you can't see on the actual video, it'll show, because my phone wouldn't focus, but it's actually, some of the numbers are changing because it's rolling through the actual folio revisions. They have the same checkout date. So it's like the end of the conference is happening or something. So I knew that they were checking out at that date. And it literally took about like 6 minutes. But if you guys want to see how the actual device is over my MSR 605, it was actually injecting folio data. And then I think the end of this, I'm going to let roll again here for you guys. So, and then after this, I actually used a Chinese-made MP3 player to inject a credit card number, which is kind of cool. And it burns the MP3 player out, so don't try it at home. So, but yeah, what's your question?
Did you ever try using the mag spoofer as a jammer to perhaps like jam a transaction that's in place and then play after it's done, anything like that?
Yeah, that was actually, oh sorry. When people ask me like, how do you protect against this kind of stuff, and that's kind of the exact same thing, is you can put one of the mag spoofers injecting random data on the back of your door, and it'll actually de-authenticate anybody from actually using it. So like it would be a really good defense mechanism, and you could have like a two-form authentication, have it when your Bluetooth phone comes in, it'll actually shut off the jammer. So you can add two-form authentication, and it might actually drain the batteries, so you'll get locked out of your room if they don't have it hardwired though. So, so you might actually DDoS yourself out of your own room. But yeah, what's your question?
So how might someone defend from one of these attacks?
Like I was saying, updating to the latest versions of the mag strip readers and the actual point-of-sale systems. That would be my recommendations, where they send remote coding. Because a shut-off mag strip reader is the one that is not responsive to this kind of attack. So that would be my biggest recommendation, is update to something that's USB 3.0 and push the latest versions of the actual point-of-sale systems. So yeah, and Yes, what's your question?
So I've seen something that says you can go around the chip and pin cards by reactivating the mag strip.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Sammy Camcard did a really good job of explaining how MagSpoofer can actually modify some of the flag details on the actual magnetic card readers. He didn't release it in his code because he's the same way I am. I don't want people to use these for illegal purposes, but you can actually you can basically send the command that, hey, the pin's damaged on this, let me just use my mag card. Some of the MagSpoofers, they're modified. Like this one has 2 payloads on it, and I have, like I said, I had the 6 MagSpoofers in one. Was my actual Big Bertha, which is like a huge magnetic coil, and I let Press take a bunch of pictures of it. But that's like my brute forcing one, and that thing took me like 6 hours to build. So I didn't want it to break, but yeah. This one's basically a modified version of the mag spoofer here, and I'm gonna actually, how much time do we got for demo? We're doing really good? Okay. If you want to ask some more questions too.
Did you write any fuzzers for any of the embedded systems hooked up to these make swipe readers, and did you find any memory corruption issues?
Yeah, that was actually my next, I was kind of thinking something along the same lines, but I literally ran out of time because I got kind of obsessed with my ATM attacks that I was doing and some of the actual relaying portions and stuff, so I'm gonna get the actual mag strip demo kicked off. If anybody has any questions at all, feel free to come up to the podium. So can everybody see the point of sale system too on the screens? Awesome. Here we go. And I'm going to check to see if I have internet connectivity here. Here you go, 1 second. And it is not visiting the right page, so I'm going to try the second payload. I'm going to try to pop the command right now. So. If anybody has any questions, I can answer these while I'm doing this. So.
Hey, Weston.
Yeah.
Obviously, Sammy's done a lot of research in this area. Also, have you done anything with BLE using like the coin to rewrite, or done any track research on how coin rewrites the data, or any of the plastic?
No, I haven't actually.
Using that as an attack method.
Oh no, I was looking into some of the other research that Sammy had done, and then, like I said, I did shift to about halfway through this, because this was done like very, very early in the year.
Right.
And yeah, that was something that I thought some of the stuff that Sammy was doing is amazing, and I was wanting to read some more of his research. So.
Okay.
But yeah,
Cool.
no, I didn't look into some of that, but I did get some of the NFC working, but I burned my original HTC phones near field communication out trying to do stuff with it.
Are the radios out?
Yeah. What's up?
You burn the radios out on them?
Yeah, burned the radios out on it. So that was like the end of it because I like just broke a $600 phone. So that ended my curiosity pretty quick. So.
Cool. Thanks.
Just one more second. I'm going to try and plug in the HID.
I know it's a very different approach, but do you have any interest in looking into NFC and other technologies that hotels are now using? Because a lot of hotels are phasing out the mag strips.
Yeah, those are most of the ones that use the RFID ones are actually tokenized, so they reflect the folio number instead of having actual data in there. So you could use some of the classic attack methods, but it wouldn't actually work so as good. And that's what I'm saying. If you're brute forcing those, like that's something where your key space would be a lot bigger, and like you're able to. It's a truly random 16-digit number. So. Stop on the same page. Well, I apologize. The demo blew up on me, but I will put a YouTube video up of it actually working. And if you guys want to come in, I'm going to try to demo it here until I actually get kicked off stage, but I'll still answering questions. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask too. So
yeah, I was just curious, have you done any playing around with the new tabletop devices that are in the restaurants and stuff? Have you looked at any of those?
Yeah, no, every time I sit at one of my favorite restaurants down the street, that's like my first thing that I would love to. But I don't have access to them. I think it would be kind of breaking the law, but I would love to actually order some of those. Right. I've seen a lot of fun things people do with some of the pager systems and stuff. So. Nice.
Yeah. So a bit of a comment on running on old operating systems. I ran around with a ward driver downtown, and I found a lot of WEP Wi-Fi, and went into the restaurants that were using that and asked permission, of course, because we all ask permission. And got the handshake from WEP real quick, with Wi-Fi, and did some sniffing, found out they're all running old XP. 0867 gets to it, old POS on there. Dump memory, and I found even on their admin account with backdoor. So yeah. I wasn't the first one there, but I found that they provided WPA2 to the customers, but because the old point of sale couldn't authenticate and the old XP couldn't authenticate to WPA2, they even run on WEP, and so you don't have to get very close at all. I want to know if that's been your experience or not as well.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like for as far as actual using third-party inputs on this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, like, don't you have to get that close to it? That if they're already networked with WEP, then it goes in there. But yeah, all that default cred in old OS, I've seen the same thing.
Yes. Yeah, there's tons of other ways that I can see people actually attacking these. Yeah, this is like my main attack surface on this.
So shifting gears a little from mag strips to chip readers, have you ever gone into something like that as chip readers start to get more and more popular and maybe hotels start to use that instead of mag strips? Do you think this attack vectors that you have kind of really researched might be able to shift and transition into the same way you could apply it to chip readers?
Yeah, some of the chip readers, they'll still be using some of the magnetic track data for the most part on some of the stuff, but some of the challenging and the encryption they can do, I would see it being able to block a lot of it. So. Okay.
What about looking into the serial programming on the actual door itself?
I haven't dug too deep into some of that stuff. Like after I got some of this attack surface and then I broke my phone, like I said, it kind of disheartened a little bit. So, but yeah, that was like I was still curious about a lot of the attack surface that was out there, but I just didn't have some of the stuff to get into it. So as far as especially time was my biggest constraint on that.
Because if you have a key to your door and you're able to reprogram the lock to your door, or you could spoof your key,
yeah,
then you.
Well, yeah, that's the biggest thing too. Is like, are you asking about if you can? I'm sorry, I might ask the question.
So a lot of the doors have a barrel serial connector on the bottom, a 2.1 jack.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then if you could reprogram that door over serial, and if this is the kind of security that the keys are using, are the locks really using that kind of security?
And that's what I'm saying. Like even the most recent hotel attack, like where they had the little not the bingo dauber, but the actual marker at the bottom. Those are newer systems. Those have two-way interfacing, so they can blow the keys away. So a lot of these low-energy old ones or older ones, like as old as in like 2008, 2006. Those ones have two-way functionality, but it's in 15-minute increments. So some of the full-blown ones, they're got a little bit different method of actually, protecting themselves. So, yeah, thank you.
Did you have to use any kind of a proprietary reader for your mag strips? I noticed a lot of credit cards, driver's licenses, all used a normal standard 1, 2, 3 tracks, but a lot of hotels aren't readable by those standard readers. Did you have to use anything special for that, or?
I did have to modify the MSR a little bit to be able to read some of the raw data at the same time as the other information, because they use a portion of the card and actually raw read it. To read their proprietary format, you do need an actual driver from the property management software. But if you can rip the raw encoding, like a majority of them, you can actually reverse it from the raw encoding. It just takes a lot of extra time. If you do the raw read through the property management software, if you were to get the property management software, you would be reading entirely different character sets. So,
right, so that's how you did it for most of what you're showing here. Wasn't to dump it to actual keys, but to dump it to raw and then
dumping to raw. Then I had to re-encode it as raw. Like if you went up to your room and did MSR and just read it in raw, and then copied that to another card, that raw would work across the board. So, all
right, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Just curious if you looked into trying to do SQL injection into POS systems or other systems using this method.
Yeah, I was actually, the demo that I had was literally going to do a Java or a Flash drive-by attack. So, as far as SQL injections, that's something that would definitely be possible, especially for some, quite literally, if it would be able to get to something that's back-end or internal, that would be a huge attack surface. So, yeah.
Thanks.
Some of the card readers that are slide-ins either have a mechanical or an optical sensor. Is that just an ASCII
slot machines?
character?
The slot machine ones, yeah. They actually turn green when something's inserted into them, and you can use a very low-profile piece of 70-pound paper, and it'll actually trigger that event. So, yep. How are we doing on time, guys? Where's my goo? Oh, we're 2 minutes? Okay, awesome. Yeah, any last questions? I really do apologize for this. I'm going to try to get a demo going in the hallway. I need to check on some of the connectivity issues. It should have still popped the command shell and injected, though. So I'm having some kind of interface issues. So if anybody wants to see this, if not, I will actually put a camera demo online. So, and I'll make sure that my camera focuses this time. But if you guys want to look into the actual injection with the Chinese MP3 player, if you want to burn out a $6 MP3 player injecting credit cards, you can feel free to. Then also, a lot of the actual payload injections, I'll be putting demos up online. So quite literally, as soon as I get back to North Dakota, which I have to drive. So, but yeah, if there's no other questions, I just want to thank you guys for staying. Thank you.